Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques on what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the DDD Experts and DDD Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
Register today for D2DCon, January 10th through 12th. Learn from over 40 amazing speakers, including the real Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. Come as a team, learn as a team, leave as a tribe.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Taggart, and this is the DDD podcast, and I'm here with Donnie Moser, who is... Okay, I'm going to just call him the Hall of Fame Cutco first guy. I'm going to bring back Cutco days, pre-Mish. He's now regional manager at Aptive Pest Control. Has, how many reps?
Over 100. We'll have over 100.
Over 100, yeah.
This year, yeah.
So a lot of people listening to this are the little guy that's got 5 reps, and they're like, how do I get to 10? And that's, you started there, right? I remember This was year 1, getting into summer sales. It was me or pest control, and this is what's fun. Is now, 6 years later, we're on a podcast? This is cool. So anyway, Donnie has now built a massive organization, teams. Last year did, how many thousand accounts?
Just shy of 15,000, yeah.
No big deal, 15,000 accounts. And that's more than a lot of pest control companies will do as a whole, right?
True.
And so, anyway, speaking at Door-to-Door Con, which is awesome, representing the Aptive, which is probably by far the biggest. Not even there's not even a close second, right?
Yeah, by far.
How many accounts did Aptive do as a whole last year?
230,000 accounts, roughly. I don't know the exact on the dot number, but 230 plus.
That's so many accounts. I think a lot of people can't even fathom that. You know what I mean? So anyway, awesome, awesome leader, rep. What was your best year?
550.
Was that your first year?
No, it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay.
Yeah.
You did how many your first year? You crushed it.
450.
Yeah, 450 is first year ever doing it. Out the gate was I'm a player, don't worry. I'm a boss. Anyway, so if you're listening to this, what we're going to dive into is really how he builds a team of 100 people. You know what I mean? It's how do we do that, and what distinguishes you versus everyone else out there in the feeding frenzy of how to get recruits, right? We're in that fall season where, I've been at 3 different companies today for other things, and, I'm it's that time of the year, how many recruiting meetings do you have today? And it's just so funny, I think there's some people that do it right, and some people that are just kind of scrambling for the low-hanging fruit, and there's some people that know how to really retain and attract this top talent, and that's really what I want to dive into. So kind of before we dive into this, let's go back, let's rewind to pre-mission Donnie Moser, the uniqueness, what makes you interesting. Tell us kind of your story.
Yeah, so when I was 18 years old, I was senior in high school, and I needed to get a job and didn't really want to do all the applications and all that jazz. I was kind of lazy, 18-year-old. Basketball season just finished. I went on monster.com. And I found this random job that said $18 per hour. And I was like, it's better than 8, which was the minimum wage in California at the time. So I went in for this interview, and it was selling Cutco knives. And it wasn't 18 an hour, it was 18 per appointment that you do. And that roughly takes an hour to complete an appointment, but you have to set all of your appointments.
Got me. You didn't logically put those two together. You're like,
yeah, so I went through the training, and I was like, I know a lot of people, I'll just set up appointments. I could get a dozen appointments in a day if I wanted to. And then I made my first sale. And I remember closing my first sale, and I said, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you the following question. Do you want to place an order today? That was the way we closed.
Oh,
it was so
quality,
awful. Yeah,
quality, just
so
textbook.
so awful. And this lady, she goes, yeah, I'll take the white one. And I said, really? I said, really? And anyway, I made $300 in an hour, and I was like stoked. So then I started training and getting focused, and then ended up being the number 2 rookie that year in the whole company, 10,000 reps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you say, like, it's so funny. We've interviewed a few Cutco reps on here. We've had the top rep and a few other people, but I think a lot of people underestimate how massive that organization is.
It's huge. It's nationwide, coast to coast, every city.
Yeah.
So it's big.
Number 2, very first year out the gate. Then you go serve as LDS mission, and I think this story is also kind of unique.
Yeah. So go to serve a mission and end up being 3 years instead of 2.
It's like how'd they rope me into an extra year? That's why I'm always like,
it was absurd. But so what happened is my visa paperwork got lost several times, and they prolonged the length of the mission because they lost the paperwork. So I ended up doing it for 3 years.
It's awesome.
So
extra blessings, right?
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
so maybe that's why you're good today, So then right out the gate, you came home like, I'm ready.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know I'm selling. It wasn't
Yeah.
one of those, it was like me. Like, I was like, which company? Where am I going? Versus like, oh, summer sales? You're like, I'm going to be good and I'm doing this.
Oh yeah.
And you came in hot. I mean, you had 10 dudes before you even sold. And I was like, I'm going to get a team of a first-year manager guy. And it was like, how do we get him? And I lost him. But anyway, he's doing well. It was a terrible, terrible, sad moment in my life. I ended up working out. He ended up working out. But
Yeah.
so fast forward to today. I guess, what are some of the key principles that have helped you kind of get to where you are now?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I was first trying to put a team together, I remember being, young and hungry and seeing all these regional managers at Aptiv and, seeing the big Vivint building across the street and knowing that there were guys that had hundreds of recruits. And I was like, how can I get 5, 10, And I remember I recruited like 3 the very first semester I was recruiting. And no, 8 of them, and 5 of them all bailed on me over Christmas, and I was just devastated. But I think the key for me was that I just continued to stay at it. I was constantly calling people, constantly texting people, constantly just networking, hanging out, being social, bringing it up, and then slowly but surely the snowball started. But the key thing for me was that first team killed it.
Yeah,
That first team dominated. We did
partially
good.
hoped you failed.
Yeah.
Deep down inside, I'm like,
Yeah.
they actually did well. Darn it. I was like, good job.
That's always the hope. You're
I know,
always,
you're
always
like,
hoping
they'll
your
come back
competitors
crying.
fail. That way they
they'll
come back.
regret it. Anyway, no, but keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. So, but the key to having that first team do well is I got all of the reps super bought in on like a unique vision.
Well, a couple of them are still with you.
Yeah.
Which is
so
awesome.
Like
I mean,
Dylan,
that's
Dylan Johnson. I hope he's watching.
Big shout out.
He's an original.
You better be coming to Provo Beach
very,
tonight.
Very first recruit. Yeah, he'll be here. He'll be
Okay,
at Provo
good.
Beach, Brooklyn, and Dawson.
Love
But yeah. So, but we built a vision of what we wanted to accomplish, and every time I was in front of the reps, I tried to be delivering value. I think the worst thing you could do when you're leading a team or you have recruits is 1, come off as selfish, and 2, not like deliver like unique value to the people that you're trying to manage. Yeah, like you need to make their life better. You need to give them tidbits of information that make them better at everything, not just selling. And then you need to teach them how to sell too. When you teach them how to sell and teach them how to do things better, and then it works, like, you build a friendship. Yeah, and it's deeper than just work. You build a relationship, and that's what keeps people with you for a long time. And at the point that you stop delivering value is when your recruits will leave. It's never the recruit's fault generally. It's always yours.
Yeah.
If you're having people leave, there's something that you're not offering that they need.
Yeah, and I think it's sometimes hard to take that humble pill and just say, what do I internally need to change? Where a lot of times, I think leaders that see kind of a constant turnover are always trying to blame their company, blame their system, blame their pay, blame their whatever. And it's like, take a heat check on yourself. You know what I mean? It's like there's obviously other things that are leading them more powerfully than you. You know what I mean? And I think that's a huge like fact, like self awareness that people need to have,
Absolutely.
So I want to really talk on, you have this cool principle, and I think this is what really makes you unique. Obviously at Door-to-Door Con, you're going to focus a lot on like how to recruit, you know what I mean? It's like, what's the nuts and bolts of step 1, step 2, and obviously I don't want to reveal all that. So we're going to go a different direction, which is still applies to the retention, the growth, the getting the buy-in, the long-term aspect of recruiting, but it's more so this unique principle that you kind of have called your 4 cores. And that really sparked kind of this, I don't know, it just got me like, that's cool. It's just simple. It's the 4 cores. Like, what is this? Where did it come from? And then let's dive into like, what are the 4 cores?
Yeah, so you were talking a little bit about how, how leaders sometimes kind of victimize themselves, like it's the company or it's the reps, and they don't take ownership, right? So I had a really bad year one year at Aptiv. It was actually the first year that Aptiv was Aptiv. The year before it was Altera, and we had a lot of bad things happen. Reps didn't sell well. People got super unfocused when it was hot out in Las Vegas. Guys were struggling with cash flow during the summer. They weren't selling enough to make enough, and it was actually kind of a disaster. And
so it's not all like your first year. You'd assume we crushed our first year, they're all going to be like this. Yep. And I think a lot of people get scared, and this is kind of a tangent, but I think it's important to know, like, yeah, Donnie has bad years. Like, that's okay. Like,
it was terrible. It was terrible. I'll be honest. It was honestly absolutely like terrible. It was the worst summer. It was harder than parts of like my mission that were really hard. It was hard. And there were times, and I'm going to be vulnerable right here, but there were times I'd sit in my car and kind of cry a little bit because I was just overwhelmed with how bad things were going. But I was looking at how bad things were going, and your initial thought is to kind of blame outside sources, right? And then I realized, you know what? No, it wasn't. It was because we stopped delivering unique value to the people and helping them stay locked in and focused the right way. So I looked, I was like, hey, where are the reps struggling a little bit? Like, none of us have a vision of what we're trying to accomplish. None of us are like actively engaged with our work. We're not enjoying knocking doors. Everybody says, oh, knocking doors sucks. Like, knocking doors doesn't suck if you engage with it properly, right?
Ooh, I love that nugget.
And anything, if you engage with it properly, becomes fulfilling, right? Even your finals, right? Your schoolwork. You just have to be like focused. And so I realized what's causing this. And so it came down to guys didn't have mental toughness. Okay, they weren't happy, or they were super stressed out. Okay, they weren't working, or they weren't trained properly. They didn't have the right technical skills to be able to sell pest control properly. And so I kind of started looking at a lot of successful people, and I read dozens and dozens and dozens of books, audiobooks, ebooks, hardcover books, and I put together these 4 cores. And what these 4 cores are designed to do is create daily habits within each category in order for you to be able to start focusing and engaging with all of the types of things you're doing in your life, and then fulfill your vision in that aspect.
I like that. So one more time, you have...
Yeah, it was kind of
core 4, yeah.
So just core 4: mental
toughness,
work ethic, happiness, and technical skills.
So let's dive into each one, just kind of in a nutshell, in our overview, and kind of what is your theory of mental toughness? Because it's interesting. I think we all want to say we're men. Our natural tendencies to be like, yeah, I'm tough. Like, dude, I am the biggest wimp when it comes to like physical pain. You poking a shot in me, I'm not mentally tough when it comes to that, and I'm okay to be vulnerable in that. I think a lot of people, when they sign up for this job, have this mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna be bad A, like I got this, like I've done hard things, I played football or whatever. But like, I want to hear your take when you say mental toughness. Like, what is that?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So I went online and I typed in how to become mentally tough, and this guy named James Clear popped up. And he had this article. He writes an article every Tuesday and Thursday, and it pops into my email. But I found him by doing this, and he wrote an article on Angela Duckworth's book called Grit.
Love it. Great book if you haven't read it.
Great book. And then she has a TED Talk where she says, grit is what makes you perform better than anything else, better than IQ, better than your talent levels. Grit is the #1 predictor of success. But in her TED Talk, she says, where do we go from here? Like you can have growth mindset, but James Clear steps in and he says motivation is super fickle. Super fickle. Your motivation will always change. You cannot control your motivation. However, you can control all of your habits. And so what we do is we focus a ton on habit creation in our region. We're talking constantly about habits, how to create good ones, how to get rid of bad ones, how to become more disciplined in your habits. Because when you're out knocking doors and you're having a tough day or whatever, it's really easy to go home an hour early. But if your habit is stay out till 9 every single day, it makes a difference over the course of an entire summer, and you're able to stay locked in. And then even if you don't sell, because you stuck to your habit, you get a win. When you get a win, you create positivity, gets a little bit of endorphins going, and you're ready for the next day. So, I've bageled twice in the last 3 years, yeah.
Oh.
And it was 2 days in a row during a competition.
Must be a terrible life, I only bageled twice.
And it was funny. Everybody was calling me like, "Hey, you bageled, you okay?" And I just said, "Yeah, of course I'm okay."
I did what I was supposed to.
Yeah,
I did what I do every day.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Yes.
Good day, bad day, nothing changes.
I was still motivated.
Yeah, it's
because I was just habit. It wasn't demotivating. It was the next day was the next day, and I was gonna wake up, put my shoes on, go out, work, same thing.
Yep. And so and that's how you build mental toughness. That's how you get through a tough divorce, is because you have great habits. You have something to lean on that's just the same every single day.
How do you?
That's what he says the science behind it is, anyways.
So, what are habits that when you say I focus on teaching my team habits? What are some of these habits that you've instilled in the culture of the Moser team?
Good question. So when you work for our team, your meeting is at 8:30 in the morning instead of 9. Aptive's meetings are at 9. We have our meetings at 8:30, and the reason why is because it gives you a 30-minute competitive advantage on every other team. So automatically our guys are focused and know that they have a 30-minute advantage on every other team in the company. And there are teams that are going to probably doing it at 8:30, but
But it makes you feel like it's like
you get an edge.
What,
right?
What's our edge?
You get an edge.
We meet at 8:30.
Yep. And then we try and make sure everybody's exercising in the morning, doing some type of training in the morning.
Do they do it
early?
Before 8:30?
Early, before 8:30 a.m.
So you're waking up by 7, working out till 7:45. Yeah, I guess that's like tight.
It's tight. Yeah. So Austin Alvis, hopefully he's on right now. Love that kid. But me and him a couple summers ago, we'd get up at 5.
I actually told him to go with you, by the way.
5:30. Oh,
Did he tell you?
Thanks. No.
No, he never told you that. If somebody's watching this that is on the other side, I'm not gonna say names. I was like, here, go with this guy. You're welcome.
Yeah. So we woke up at 5:30 every single day religiously. Worked out, trained, ready for our meeting at 8:30. Went out, knocked, and then we knocked till 9. Another characteristic is we knock late. We knock 30 minutes after dark. We don't do like, oh, it's dark, we head home. Like, we try and stay out a little bit longer. So just those are the work habits, right? So the second one was work ethic, and you find a habit of going the extra mile in every little thing that you do. So if your trainer says you need to do 8 reps, do 9. And get in the habit of always
the habit of doing the 1 plus versus the 1 less than what it says.
Exactly.
I'm the type that's like, I'll set up like, I want to do 10 reps. I'm like, I feel like for working out, I'm just using this in my life. I'm the guy that's like, I'm at 8. I got it. Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because like thinking back, I'm like, no, I would never do 1 more.
Yeah. Or another example is if you're tired and you're just dying in a workout, just finish it. Don't not finish the workout.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how long it took you. You're a finisher.
Just
you're in the
finish
habit of finishing.
Exactly.
Versus quitting.
Exactly. When you're studying, so another thing I always tell guys to do is I say when you're studying for your test, study for the extra hour that you think you need. Study for the extra hour, because it's constantly creating habits of just going extra, a little bit extra, or always finishing. That way you don't fall short. Because when you start building habits in all sorts of different areas of going a little bit further, going the extra mile, then what happens is it just transfers to everything. I didn't say that in an articulate
It's how you
way.
do. It's how you do anything. It's how you do everything.
And there's not a truer statement. Not a truer statement. Excellence is a habit. Aristotle says that. And if you suck at one thing, you're not going to be good at another thing. You need to be good at everything you do, or try and have excellent habits at least at everything.
And I think it translates. You look at you're like, well, why would doing the extra rep working out translate to me staying out till 9:30 versus 9. You know, some people are like, they don't correlate. It's the mindset that it's translating. And it's funny because off camera we were talking, you're like, I need to add a 5th to the core 4 thing, or 4 cores, so that it's 80% mental. 4 out of 5 are mental.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, and it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people don't bring the awareness to the mental choice of creating habits and good practices and like choosing success, essentially.
Yeah, too many people in our industry just go out and sling on accounts, or, you know, we're gonna go sell, or I just think you can have a different approach and you just get so much more out of it. Then you're not, you know, oh, I have to knock. You know, it's like, sweet. Like, I worked out, I trained, I went to the meeting, maybe had a Red Bull and a pre-workout. You know, who knows? You know, depending. I'm just kidding. But you know, you're
Quick
locked
word
in.
from our sponsor. Bang actually may sponsor DDDCon. We're actually talking with Bang
okay.
right now. We're like, dude, you probably should come.
Yeah.
It's a good fit. They're like, really? The door knocking community? I'm like, yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yep, they're
Everybody's
addicted.
addicted to caffeine.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're focused, you're ready to roll, you have a goal for the day. Like, you've got so many wins involved, and then you're knocking doors, you're engaged, you're focused on, you know, how many knocks you're going to get or how many hours you're going to work. And it's just a different mentality when you're focused on successful habits to try and become mentally tough, to try and stay locked in, to try and engage with the process, trying to go the extra mile. When you do those things, it just changes the whole element. Like, people that work at Active, like, we've only lost, in my region, we've only lost 3 guys to different companies before. 3. In the 4 years I've been doing this, three people. And I honestly think the reason why is nobody that comes out says that, like, knocking doors sucks.
It's you change the position of how people view door to door versus, I think, and this is an important retention and recruiting and team building and unity, you know, it's what's the world's position, what's other companies' position, and what's our position on this job. Because I think a lot of people come in and say, I'm going to do this for the summer so I can do a real job. I'm going to do this summer so I can get through school. I'm going to do this for, you know, I did this because I had no other option. I couldn't get it, you know, or whatever it was. And what I'm loving about what you're saying is just saying, we teach our people life skills. We create success. We train you in the school of life. School, this is like, if you're mentally tough, you work hard, you are happy, and you have this tools and the technical stuff, like, you're now a machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I'm pumping out freaking like Russian boxing machine.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and you've done it. That's why you've had such high averages. Your averages in comparison to all pest control averages, where are they at? Higher, right? I mean, and it's like, I think people don't realize why they struggle recruiting is they're not creating systems or habits to create attraction. You know what I mean? It's like, it's attractive when it's like, we've lost only 3 people. Our guys sell more than everyone else. They stick around because they make more money than doing anything else. And we love doing it. It's not just like, I have to go knock doors. It's like, we dominate. But what's crazy, I'm just sorry. I'm like people need, I'm like, geez, I'm hyping them up maybe way too much, people. But like, and if you're watching this, you're probably like, why are you giving so much love? Because I've watched it. I literally said, Austin, go to Donnie's team, right? I mean, because I watch how you've led people instead of just said, I want to make so much money on, you know what I mean? It's a leadership thing. And that's why I was like, come speak at Door to Door Con. So I want to give you some big props there.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So moving on to like happiness, that's like such a broad word. I hate it. Well, before we get to happiness, I want to point out one thing, because I train roofers, dude. I'm speaking in Dallas on Monday. You should just come. So Monday I'm speaking to 150 roofing contractors. And the last time I was there, my favorite line that I said, and I kind of said it on accident, I was like, you guys are wannabe door knockers. Like, you can't call yourselves door knockers. I'm like, you go out once a month for a Saturday, or, you know what I mean? I'm like, I want to see one of you guys just go 8:30 meeting till 9:30 at night. And I bring that up to people, and they're like, well, that's impossible. I would die. And I'm kind of like, what? Like, these guys do that for 5 months straight, 4 months straight, nonstop. Like, and I think some people think they work so hard. I got soft in solar, by the way. Like, to be real, I'm like, that right now to me was like, oh man, I get my butt kicked right now, because it's a habit, and it's like I got out of the habit in solar, but I'm like, had I applied that work ethic to this industry, to just dominate. It's just people get out of the habit because it's like, oh, I make this much money in such a short amount of time. I then lowered my habit. You know what I mean? It's like, put the two together. Jeez.
Yeah, and that's the point is, hopefully when guys come through our program, and if they do leave to something else, like they don't adjust to the habits of where they're at, that they keep their ground habits stable and the same. So they'll be more dynamic when they move on.
It's dynamic.
Because,
I love that
because
word.
nobody else. I don't know of anybody else in summer sales that teaches it to a level that we teach it.
Well, and you were saying, okay, this is important. Here's fun fact, secret sauce, people. I didn't get Taylor's, like, Sam's going to Apton. Nah, actually, I just got recruited by Green X, darn it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. I was just there. But inside joke. That was probably not appropriate for podcast. Darn it, you threw me off. Okay, so, no, but what I'm saying is, I had an important point. So this habit of, well, I can't even think of my stinking thing. You threw me off, Taylor. Jeez. Keep going. Happiness.
So, I was reading this book called Win Forever. Kind of a weird place to find a book.
Win Forever?
Yeah, it's by Pete Carroll.
Okay.
It's a really easy book. He's a football coach. He's not very articulate. It's kind of like layman's terms the whole way through. You can just bust through it. 150, 200 pages. It's a nice book. But he was talking about how, he was studying psychology, and he came across Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, and so for anybody to have like a fulfillment of their potential, there's 4 basic needs that they have to meet first, right? And there's physiological needs. You have to be able to eat and feed yourself. Okay, you need to have social needs met. You need to be and I might be butchering the order. It doesn't really matter, because there's another theory that says that they're not a pyramid. They're all in a box, but. Anyway, but you have to have your social needs met, so you need to feel love and belonging, okay? And you have to have goals and safety needs met. You have to have a house and have some shelter, not be like exposed to the elements, so to speak. And then you have to have goals that are met. And after you have those 4 things met, then you can self-actualize or live in the zone or perform at a different level than you've ever performed before. But those 4 needs have to be met first. So those four needs, and I was thinking, like, how often do married reps struggle with rent during the summer?
All the time.
All the time. And if they're struggling with rent, they can't sell. Like, just based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Okay, or if they're out of check with, like, their wife. The worst rep that I ever had, really talented rep, okay? Not worst rep, really talented rep. The worst experience I've had from a rep was when he was going through some problems with his wife during the summer, and it just totally ruined his summer.
Throws you off.
Yeah, because he wasn't happy, right? So your relationships have to be in check to be happy. You have to have your money, your finances in check when you're happy, to be happy. And so what we do is we focus on helping guys to get their stuff in check, so that when the summer comes, they're not stressed out, they're not panicking, they're able to focus on the task at hand. The other side of happiness comes from affirmations, visualization, meditation. It helps you kind of be at one with yourself, understand like the elements, absorb the full experience of what you're experiencing. And I found that through meditation, the hard times become a lot more fun, because you're absorbing the full
You're
moment.
sitting with it.
Yeah, you're absorbing the moment of what it is and experiencing life.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't become stressful. It becomes like something you cherish in a way. It's kind of weird and
No, I love that.
It's spiritual in a way, but
seeing
it's
the
totally
gift.
true. But and all that stuff, you can read up on it from tons of stuff, from Phil Jackson to some of the best athletes in the world. All of them are meditating. All of them. So
That's awesome. And then the last one is technical skills. And it's probably the least focused on from a leading you, because it's kind of like you do it that way, he does it this way, we do it this way. There's some basic principles, but like technical skills, that's important though. Still need to know what to say and how to say it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you are never trained how to sell, it doesn't matter how happy you are or mentally tough you are or how hard you work. If you don't know how to close a deal, you can't close a deal.
Exactly.
Right?
It's me and pest control. I knocked pest control this year. I literally went out and I was like, wait a minute, I got him interested. Now what? I'm like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but all right. Yeah, no one had ever traded me. So no, but I think but your theory of training, because in my opinion, there's good training and not great training, right? And it's like, how do you train your people that you found lands? And it's like, I got them ramped up and they're cranking, because that's always a struggle people deal with.
I'll tell a story. There's this kid named John Tippett. John Tippett, hope you're on. You're getting a shout out right now. So I went up to DC last year to train, and John was really struggling. He was like really struggling with his pitch, and his paraverbals were off, and he'll admit to this, but his paraverbals were off. You know, he was head nodding wrong. He was shaking his head like crazy. And pest control, it's all about when you smile, when you nod, how you sound. That's kind of our training focus, right? But he was saying things the wrong way because he was all nervous. He was clamped up, right? And what we did is we just went through and we did a role play on the initial approach over and over and over and over and over and over again, critiquing every little tiny thing down to like that one little section until he got it right. And then I had to move on, but the team leaders went through and did his service section. And then after his service section, they went through and they did his closing. And then he slowly got all the objections down. And he ended up doing really well, you know, did really well. We thought he might be a service pro. He ended up doing, you know, just under 200 accounts and made really great money. And he was coming back, and he's got a couple recruits now, and it's super great.
And the guy that you're like, we're probably gonna have to send home or make him a tag.
Yeah, and it just all it came down to was, okay, John, like, let's just repeat that one thing until you get it right. And then, okay, let's repeat this next thing until you get it right. Let's repeat this next thing. And so a lot of times, you know, you'll do, I see these pitches where they'll do this whole big old long pitch, and you're critiquing the whole big old long pitch.
Yeah, you're like, here's one thing you did well.
Break it down, yeah, and you can't remember.
Yeah, you're
everything,
like,
right?
that
You're
was
like
5 minutes.
You're trying to write down notes, and you're looking at them, and
Yeah.
missing that part because you're writing down notes. Just like, hey, let's just do the initial approach, and just break it down by section.
I love that. No, and it's mastering the details. When you said your paraverbals, your head nods, your shrugging, I'm like, you know how many trainers that go, right over my head, I didn't even know I do that. You know what I mean? And it's just being a master of your craft. I think a lot of people don't see this as an art. It's like we're musicians, we're martial arts, we're athletes, and it's like my tongue, my body language, my tones. It's like that all plays into how well I do.
Yeah,
And
your eye contact.
Yeah.
Like there's so many elements. Which is why I appreciate what you're doing. You know, because I feel like your goal is to bring, you know, professionalism to the industry, and I love it. I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, awesome. So last question before we kind of got to wrap up. So if you're on here and you obviously got some love from Donnie and you obviously some good nuggets, hopefully this is stuff you can go and say, maybe I'll implement the 4 cores into my office, or maybe I'll, you know, try to teach my people and step my game up as a leader. Because like when we talk about recruiting, when we talk about building teams and getting to 100 reps, it's like the answer simply is what you said at the beginning. It's I add value consistently, and they directly correlate me to value. Therefore, they're around. Therefore, they're like, come hang out with this guy. He's dope. But the question, remember how I had my brain fart? I actually thought of it. And this is my last question. So right now in the off season, you mentioned every Monday you hold your people accountable to almost like a program that is this 4 cores. And I thought that was really unique. Like, tell us a little bit about that, and like, what is that? Like,
Yeah. So every Monday, you know, I named the 4 cores. We've talked a lot about them, right?
Yeah.
All that information comes from like a plethora of books.
yeah, it's just kind of like
information, right?
Donnie's consumption of in a box.
So I took everything I knew about the topics, created a bunch of activities for guys to do on a weekly basis in order to, you know, enhance their ability to get better at those 4 areas. And so every Monday we have a training meeting, and usually there'll be tidbits out of the books that are involved in the different cores, and then we hold them accountable to the assignments. It's almost like a university
It's like
class.
your own classes.
It literally is. We have packets. I'll hold my packet up. I'll be like, look, I did it. Did you guys do it? You know, part of like the whole like.
And some won't, some will. And
yeah.
you have to kind of have your discipline and your dopamine. Yay, good job. So do you have like a reward system?
You know,
like track?
I don't. Not vocally or like outwardly. That's something I need to work on as a leader.
A way to kind of give the good job or darn it.
I'll admit I have one downside, I think, to what I do in those meetings and even in my team meetings. I don't know if I give enough recognition out, and I need to get better at that. But we do an incentive. So if people fill out the entire packet, read the books they're supposed to, and do it all, then, you know, in the past we've given them iPads to go sell with for the summer.
Cool. So they passed the track throughout the university school year, essentially. Mm-hmm. They get to then get the iPad.
Or travel money to get out to area, or a flight for their girlfriend to come out during the summer. You know, whatever is important to them.
You incentivize it. That's awesome. Okay, so honestly, I appreciate your time. We got to wrap up, but it's fun to like reconvene. What is it? That had to have been 2013?
It was before 2015.
14? Okay.
Yeah, it was right before 15.
That's awesome. I mean, so it's like this, coming back years later, it's cool to just say like, look where we've been and where you are. And I love watching people get explosive growth, because a lot of people underestimate the vehicle in just a short amount of time to say, I got off my mission broke and I need a job, to I manage a massive organization. Like, you can do that too. Like, if you're watching or listening to this, like, don't you think anybody could if they chose to?
Yeah, absolutely. If you put your mind to it, and you just the materials to learn how to do stuff is out there.
It's out there,
right? You just got to find it, read it, and then do it. And what I found with almost everything, man, it's just doing it, just committing, doing it. The best thing I ever did was jump into summer sales, not knowing what the heck it was.
Just like I'm doing it though.
I met with Connor Ruggio on like a Wednesday, and the next Tuesday I flew to Houston.
Yeah, love it.
I signed on midsummer.
Boom.
Just went.
We need
for
more
it.
of these guys.
Just went for it, and I just thought, I'm just gonna do it. Like, just jump in and do it. And that's awesome. That's how you find an opportunity, I guess.
Cool.
Don't be hesitant.
I appreciate your time, and I'm excited to hear from you in January, dude. I'll make sure I hop into your workshop, dude.
Yeah, appreciate
Okay.
you.
Hey, see you guys. Much love.